sensing something. Scars.
Welcome to another episode of Co-op Res done a little bit differently. Today, instead of seeing our beautiful faces give you a co-op review on a game, you get to hear our beautiful voices give you a co-op preview on the game Anthem. We're trying out different kinds of videos for different kinds of content, and we will still be giving you the usual reviews as we move forward. But when you get your hands on a demo, you don't want to pass up the opportunity to try something new. So, we played the demo this past weekend. We've had a few days to think about it. What are your general thoughts, Gabe?
Bro, this game was insanely fun. I gotta have it.
You gotta have it? On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate it?
Bro, I'd give it 10 Storm Javelins.
10 Storm Javelins. For those of you who don't know, that is a really high mark. A really high mark.
I mean, it's pretty much the best Javelin. I only got to try 2 of them, but gotta say, the Storm was the best.
But we know for certain that the Storm was the best.
No, for real. I thought this was awesome experience. Yeah, I mean, one of the first things that stood out to me was this game just plays so differently than other games. Mm-hmm. I think one of the biggest things is the flying is just insane, and it adds this level of verticality that we've never seen in any other game. Yeah. You know, usually in other games that we've played, you know, we'll be on the ground and we see the enemies from around the corner, and I'll call out and be like, hey bro, I'm gonna go flank. And it's never easy, right? Because you have to go all the way around and try to flank enemies. But in this game, like, if I want to flank somebody, I just fly over their head and flank those losers. It's like insane, you know? Like, I remember when we had seen the E3 demo this past summer, and we saw them flying around. I was like, Andrew, there is no way that they're going to make the flying feel nearly as cool as it looks. But they did. It feels awesome. They really did it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, we can't help comparing this game to two things. First off, we can't help comparing it to Destiny because there's just so many obvious comparisons to make. And then we also can't help but compare it to Iron Man in general. Not any Iron Man games, but just Iron Man as a concept. So all of you Iron Man comic book fans out there, if you've been dying for your Iron Man game all these years, you have it. It is here. It is going to be here in 2 weeks. So
this is it.
Yeah. The flying felt really good. The javelins did feel really good. The Storm wasn't the only one that felt good. So, comparing it to Destiny, it's easy to look at the Titan and the Hunter in Destiny, and they just feel too similar. Like, they have different abilities, but you could go back and forth and not really notice a difference. But in this, it totally felt different. Like, when we went from the Ranger, which is the base one that you had to start with, to the Storm and to the Colossus, it was a totally different experience, and in such a good way. Like, we had to learn a new way to play completely.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, we've played a lot of different games where there's roles and there's classes. I mean, we've been playing a ton of Battlefield lately, you know, and I play support, you play medic in that. We've played Monster Hunter World, where you play, like, the weapon that you have is like a completely different play style altogether. And I think that's a good comparison. In this game, like, the javelins just feel like completely different play styles. It's like insane. And I think that was really cool for us. I think learning that together was really fun. And really just learning the game together has been a really fun experience, you know? I think in general, learning all the enemy types has been a really fun thing. In the demo, for those of you who didn't get your hands on it this past weekend, we got to play 3 story missions and got to do a stronghold mission, which is kind of like a strike if you've played Destiny before. That mission really tested our mettle, and because of that, we got to play as 2 of the different javelins, and that instantly shook up the whole experience. So, what did you think of the co-op was like in that mission, and co-op in general in the game, bro?
Yeah. So I would say for the co-op gameplay, you had to really communicate with each other right off the bat. Because not only are we learning a new game so we don't know as much, but it was really important when you got to an area where you were going to be clearly fighting a lot to figure out what was going on in this huge arena so that you could tackle it correctly. So you mentioned that we had to learn these new enemies, and so for instance in one of them we went in and there was like 4 different enemy types. There were these tanks, there were these snipers, there were turrets, and there were grunts. And we had to deliver all these things. And so I noticed that the snipers would down our shields right away, so we needed to focus on the snipers. So Gabe and I would fly around the arena, picking off the snipers one by one, while our other two guys that we didn't know were doing whatever they wanted. But we were taking care of business, like communicating and working together, and it was so much fun. Really, it felt like we were really working together.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, that mission was like insane. You had to deliver these like echoes, and this arena was like huge. There's so much that was being thrown at us. Communication and positioning itself was a huge deal, part of that mission, and really a big deal in the game. I mean, it's so cool to play a game where I could fly up to a perch that overlooks the whole map and watch Andrew's back while he's out on the trenches, being swarmed by enemies. So it's just cool that you can do that. You can position yourself in different ways, and that just opens up like a whole new level of strategy that I think we saw in this game a lot.
Yeah, I think the environments were really well made. They were tailor-made to the mobility that the Javelin provides. You're not in a small room ever. You're in these large areas where you can work around it, you can fly around it, and get to where you need to go. And on that point, since we played as two different kinds of Javelins after we unlocked them, as the Colossus, which is really the tank, and the Storm, which is really the mage, it was cool to see how they work together a lot in positioning and in abilities.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so your Javelin is like the tank Javelin. It comes with a shield. It has like a kind of close range flamethrower, and then it has this like bizarre like aggro ability. Where my Javelin it's like you said, a lot of like crowd control from the air, and it just throws all these like elemental abilities. I think one of the biggest differences that we saw is that my Javelin can be suspended in the air much longer than yours or any other Javelin can. So that provided this really cool level of strategy where I would be hovering around the map, making sure I knew where every enemy was and, kind of what was happening. So I kind of got this like big, clear view of the battlefield where you were like right there in the thick of it, fighting enemies directly on. So it felt really cool to be communicating, and then I could tell you like, hey man, watch out, there's going to be a swarm of enemies that are about to flank you from the back. And I could provide some area effect moves for you. I felt like that was like so fun. We haven't gotten that in a game in a long time.
Yeah, the abilities felt distinct enough to where it felt like Gabe could do something differently than Ike did, and they would work together, like they would combo together really well. So that was encouraging for sure. Well, we are just about out of time here. And Gabe, you got any last things you want to say about Anthem?
Don't believe the hate, guys. We had a good time. I thought it was a great game. We had a blast, and we cannot wait for it to come out on February 22nd.
Yeah. Don't believe the salt on the internet. It's actually really good. It's a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, if there's not that much content, so what? You get to enjoy a really fun game with your friends, and that's what matters. So we'll see you guys in a few weeks with our Anthem review, and be on the lookout for reviews coming out before that. Thanks for watching another episode of Co-op Bros. We'll see you next time.